Coming up on Guys Talking Sports, we talk about the NFL playoffs. The AFC and the NFC championship games are set. We're also going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers and their blowout loss to the Golden State Warriors. And we're going to talk about what's next for Cleveland and what they can do to turn this team around. My guest host, Adrian Catwell and Earl Ross, joins me right now, and that's on Guys Talking Sports. What's going on, and welcome to Guys Talking Sports, another episode of Guys Talking Sports. You guys host Al Qualls. I'd like to thank everybody for subscribing. I'd like to thank everybody, the YouTube subscribers. Thank you very much. For all those that's been commenting, thank you very much. The people that subscribe on iTunes, thank you very much. Right now, without further ado, we're going to get started. I'd like to introduce my guest host with me, Adrian Catwell and Earl Ross. So what's going on, fellas? How y'all guys doing?
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
What's
going on in the background?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was trying to be discreet about Snoop Dogg's views on the Oscars, but you know, we're not here to talk about the Oscars and that type of thing.
Well, I think we got his views pretty good.
Yeah, pretty much. We kind of heard that. We have to edit that out for the but pretty much got what he was saying about how he felt.
Yeah, he wasn't too keen on what was going on.
Yeah, I you know what? That's just Snoop being Snoop. But so how's everything going, man?
You know, it's Tuesday. It's cold. Expecting a monumental snowstorm Friday and Saturday. Typical East Coast.
Yeah. What about you, Earl, man? How's everything?
Everything is good. You know, I'll be waiting with bated breath on this. You know, another storm again, and probably going to get a couple of inches like last time. So I'll take it all in stride.
That's good, man. That's good. That's good. So we're gonna get right into it. Real quick. I know Earl wasn't on last week. That's mainly my fault. But I wanted to get your take. Since we talked about it very scarcely last week. I just want to get your take about the NFL playoffs and your thoughts on, you know, your predictions on what's going to happen this upcoming weekend.
Well, I think that there's definitely some good matchups. I think as far as the NFL and probably all the TV ratings are going, you know, you couldn't ask for anything better than another Brady-Manning clash for this weekend. And as far as, you know, the Carolina Panthers are going, I think they will probably wanted to see a Patriots-Seahawks rematch, but, you know, well, I guess we'll get into a little bit of that game, but, you know, I'm not sure what happened with those guys, but, I mean, it's going to be some pretty good games. I mean, you know, the Cardinals came in here, you know, they pretty much, you know, let the lead slip a little bit with the Packers. You know, the Packers tied it up with probably a classic, you know, Hail Mary pass from, from my man Rodgers to tie the game. A little controversy with the coin toss, but, you know, Larry Fitzgerald, you know, you have to stand up and applaud that man. He was the only one that was really playing hard for the Cardinals, in my opinion. Everybody was lackluster. Carson Palmer was tossing the ball to everybody else except anybody that was a Cardinals receiver. So, I mean, it's amazing that they actually won that game because they looked like they wanted to give it up right before the end of regulation. But I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I'm not sure about the Carolina Panthers. They're having a hard time holding leads. I think that, I mean, the lead for the Seahawks thing was probably a little bit too much for them. And you didn't have a guy like in Russell that's like a really big gunslinger. So he ran the ball enough and just didn't throw up enough points to kind of, you know, take over the lead. But they came pretty darn close to it. But I'm expecting to see a nice game between Arizona and Carolina. Probably going to be a physical game. But the one that's just going to intrigue me the most is how it's going to be with the Patriots and the Broncos. You know, how healthy really is Peyton Manning? Because he looked pretty good. I mean, at the end of the game, the beginning he was a little bit shaky, very shaky, but he kind of, you know, got his feet under him, had a couple of good passes. So as far as my predictions go, I don't know. I think I'm gonna call it Carolina, Denver.
Wait, whoa, did you just say Carolina, Denver?
Carolina and Denver.
Wow. Okay. Ace, I know you had your thoughts on last week, so do you anything that you want to add?
Uh, Carolina. Boy. I got to give the nod to Denver only because I believe Denver's defense is a little bit better than New England's. And New England will, I think New England will finally meet their match come this Saturday against Denver. Payton's going to get his revenge. They'll make it to Super Bowl, but then Carolina's just going to be too much for Denver in the Super Bowl.
I agree. To be honest, I also believe it's going to be Carolina, Denver. I believe it's because the Patriots are going to Denver for this.
That is correct. Yep, they'll be going to Mile High.
I gotta give the edge to Denver then. I probably would have been different. I probably would have changed went with the Patriots if it was going to New England. But if it's going to Denver, then I could see Denver winning it. Yeah,
I agree with Ace. I mean, that defense of the Broncos is probably going to put some wood on that squad. And and Tom Brady is good, but when you start making him tap dance around that backfield, it has been shown that he doesn't like to get pressured too much. I mean, the Seahawks is bringing the pressure on them in the Super Bowl last year, and they pretty much had him moving around the pocket. But I think defense is going to get to him.
No, I agree with that. To be honest, I just don't trust the Pats' offensive line yet. Still don't.
No. You can only keep that patchwork of an offensive line up for so long, so eventually it's gonna break. And let's be quite perfectly honest. The Pats was, they were springing water near the end of the season. They backdoored into that second spot.
Yep. I agree. That's why I think Carolina's been pretty steady all season. They had that one little blemish, towards the end of the season. But outside of that, they've been just about as dominant a football team from beginning to end. And just like you said, Earl, if Carolina just knows how to play a complete 4 quarters worth of offense, and the defense could play a complete 4 quarters or more so, compete in the second half, then it won't even be a matter of conversation. It'll just be Carolina just blow out whoever they play, because if they ever played offensively, defensively, a complete 4 quarters, they'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, but I don't think they want to. And that's a big if they beat the Cardinals and make it to the Super Bowl, I wouldn't spot a lead like that and then have to hold a 4th quarter lead against either Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, because that might be your doom right there.
I agree.
But it's crazy that the fact that it's another Peyton Manning and Tom Brady showdown again. Like, you don't get no better than this. And even though Peyton Manning may be Peyton Manning's last hurrah, it's interesting to see it's interesting to see how he would play this one out against one of his nemesis for the past umpteenth amount of years. So, what better way to go out, if anything, than beating your nemesis?
Yeah. And let's make it perfectly honest. I think Rodgers Goodell's worst nightmare is the Patriots making it to the Super Bowl. Because God forbid they do, and then they win. He has to hand over both them trophies to the Patriots with Tom Brady sitting there right on stage with Bill Belichick and the rest of the New England organization, the owner that he got to hand it to. That'll be some very tense times up on that stage. So I know he's probably praying to the gods that the Broncos beat the Patriots so they don't have to deal with it.
No, and I could see if the Patriots lose, I could hear fans saying conspiracy at this point. The refs are had to fix in for us because of what happened at the beginning of the season.
So it better be a blowout.
No, I agree with that. that's something that is definitely going to be worth watching this weekend. To be honest, I want it to be like close games, so to keep it on the edge of your seat. I have to admit the 31-0 halftime wasn't really doing much for me, even though the Seahawks did come back in the second half. Those type of blowouts, like on the first half, it really, it really stops fans from wanting to see the rest of the game sometimes.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like, I have to admit, like, I'm thinking like it was going to be a close game throughout the whole game, and then when you look at halftime, it's 31-0. You're like, man, like, okay, we already know who's going to win. Doesn't, I might as well just watch something else.
Yeah, it takes your attention off the game, and you want to start looking for other stuff. So it's like, you want it to be competitive games, and I think for the most part in these playoffs, they've been competitive outside of the Houston Kansas City game, which was a straight blowout.
Definitely.
Well, are we having some audio feed with Adrian?
No, I'm here. I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
I'm just enjoying the rhetoric back and forth, So I'm just.
Yeah. It's. I mean, the whole playoffs is just something. The NFL playoffs is something that is really starting. Like, even like the fans right now. Of course you got the hardcore fans, and you're starting to see like more of the fans, like the casual fans, starting to become more involved and more interested in these playoffs, and it's definitely a sight to see. I mean, the NFL is doing a good job as well as far as the playoffs and the viewership is concerned. It'll be more interesting to see how this plays out all the way to the Super Bowl. And I'm just more concerned about, I just hope that the refs don't do anything to mess it up throughout the rest of the playoffs, I should say.
I think they've been playing a pretty clean game. I think outside of, let me see. I think the refs, from what I saw or heard, I think the refs have been doing a pretty good job. It was just that Cincinnati, Pittsburgh game that got out of hand. But for the most part, it seemed to be pretty fair. I haven't heard anybody complaining based off of referees and things of that nature. So I'm hoping that the refs do their part, and if they're going to call the game kind of tight, if you're going to call it in the beginning tight, call it tight the entire way. Don't wait till the last 2 minutes to decide. Okay, we can't let the refs decide what the game is going to be in the last 2 minutes. That's one thing I can't stand.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. There's got to be consistency, and throughout this whole season, it proved that the refs was very inconsistent. And I really do hope the NFL takes a look at it to make it more consistent. But enough about the NFL playoffs for right now. I do want to get into the last night's game between the Cavaliers and the Warriors. I didn't see much of the game because I was kind of working on something. But I happened to take a look at my phone and saw the halftime score, and I had to do a double take. Cleveland was just completely embarrassed in their home court by the reigning champs. So I just wanted to get your guys' take on the game itself.
I personally didn't watch the game. I didn't even read any highlights, but I think I did see a score that they were down 40 at half or something like that. I don't know what's going on with Cleveland right now. They got all the talent in the world, but something just ain't meshing. Maybe, and this is just my opinion, maybe this game is a big wake-up slap in the face that they may have needed. They may need it to have been embarrassed to light a serious fire under the team, and all those folks pointing fingers and saying one thing and whatever. Hopefully, they have their so-called closed-door meeting and rectify all these issues. Because if they're trying to win a championship, this ain't the way to go about it.
Yeah, I have to admit.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, I'll have to, unfortunately admit that I missed most of the game, but saw the highlights. And I agree. I don't know what's going on, but I think the two probably takeaways that I took from that game and the highlights and what the score was I think that it definitely shows just how how much of a matchup nightmare Golden State has been for Cleveland, and this just doesn't go from this game and the Christmas game, but this goes back to the even to the NBA finals. I mean, you can talk about, all right, yeah, Kyrie wasn't there, Kevin Love was there, but Kyrie was there that first game and just got hurt right tail end of the first game, and even then, Cleveland was having nightmare matchups with that squad. So I think this is evidence that something's got to change. I think whether Kevin Black is going to get ejected, they're going to have to bring in a coach, or whether you're going to make some trade, but something's going to have to happen because that, Irving, Love, LeBron, synergy is not working.
No, I agree with that. But here, the thing about it is, and I guess I have more information, because I've been listening to the radio throughout the day. The thing that got me, and I guess in hearing what other people was talking about, was the fact that, number one, when Steph did an interview before the actual game, he made a comment saying that, going back to the Q Arena, and as far as yeah, he said, he said it as, I hope it still smells like champagne, because that's where they won the championship. I believe they won it in Cleveland. So, but the Cavs took it as a sort of disrespect. So I'm thinking like, okay, now this is going to be a game. If you're really taking this to heart, what he said, then I'm going to see, Cleveland's going to come with a lot of anger, emotion. They're going to try to blow, Golden State away. It's going to make a great game. But then to see the halftime score, it was just like solely disappointing. You're sitting there saying that you're going to talk all this talk and you're going to do something, and you didn't do nothing. And it seemed like the Warriors had a bit of a chip on their shoulder more than Cleveland. And what that just showed me was basically this. No matter, and Cleveland, let's just say it, call it like it is. Cleveland is going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's going to be one of the teams. That's just how it's going to be. It makes me more reluctant to say that they're going to be in the NBA Finals because, like Earl said, unless they do something to take care of this or handle this situation, I don't see them their chemistry. I don't see them being in the actual NBA Finals. I don't care if LeBron is on the team. If you don't have enough chemistry there to make it work for your team, then you're not going to go nowhere. And let's just, me personally, and I'm just, speaking in my opinion, let's just say this. You're not going to win. You could win in the East doing ISO ball. You're not going to be able to do it when you play against Western teams. Whether it's San Antonio, whether it's Golden State, you're not going to – they play team basketball. And sitting around waiting for, either Kyrie or LeBron to drive to the basket and then kick it out to open jumpers or do something with the ball, that's not going to help it. That's not going to cut it. And I think the Warriors knew what Cleveland's they figured out what was Cleveland's weakness, and they just exploited it. And I think that other teams is going to start following that same blueprint. And I would not be surprised if a Chicago or a Toronto would actually be in the Eastern Conference Finals and actually beat them because of it. Like I said, Cleveland will make the Eastern Conference Finals, but I lowered my expectations as far as them making it to the NBA Finals with this right here. And like I said, if they don't do something quick, I just don't see them getting into the finals this time around. And I know for sure that they won't be able to beat Golden State, San Antonio, or maybe one of the other Western Conference teams that make it in a 7-game series. And they do need to figure it out. Now, I do have to say this, because from what I heard, like on social media and on the radio and stuff like that, I heard that Kevin Love actually called out LeBron James about, leaders needing to play more harder. if that is true, to be honest, and as much as I don't care about LeBron James being the best player in the league. Basically, the fact that Kevin Love is taking ownership to do that, I give him respect. Now, I'm not saying that he may be right or wrong in doing it, but I do respect the fact that he gave, he called out the actual the leader of the team, because someone probably needed to do that. Now, Kevin Love doesn't fit on this team. That's a given at this point. Kevin Love is now not even the third best player on the team. And that's sad, because you have LeBron James, you have Kyrie Irving, and now you got Tristan Thompson that's moving into that role. And Kevin Love it's like he's just there. And I really believe that he needs to be someplace else to be the Kevin Love that he used to be in Minnesota. Because he's not going to be the same Kevin Love he was in Minnesota. It's not going to happen in Cleveland.
No, I think that in Kevin Love, Kevin Love works better with either Love or Irving or Love and James, but it's not working with all three.
Not.
I would say, interesting. I did hear where they're looking to shop Mozgov. Not sure why. But interesting that they would want to shop Mozgov. Now, I haven't watched many of Cleveland's games, so I can only imagine. But do they even attempt, from what you might have seen, Al, to get Kevin Love into the game that he's typically played for his career? They have the two components where Kyrie or LeBron can sit there and drive to the hoop and kick it back out to Love for the open J. That's if he's even open. But the bigger question is, and I have not watched the game, nor have I seen any stats for Love or anybody for Cleveland. But is his shooting percentage down? Has he been knocking shots down like you could say he has when he was playing with Minnesota? Maybe not at the same clip, because he's not scoring at the same rate he was in Minnesota. But when he's had his opportunities, is he knocking down that open J? Or was he even when he was at Minnesota, I know he was averaging, a double-double per game, but was he even the type of person that, for his size and the position that he played, could he create his own shot, if he had to? I mean, yeah, he took jumpers, but was it similar where the point guard for Minnesota was driving and kicking it out because they were collapsing to the hole, and then this left Love open to make shots? I mean, is that something that Cleveland is doing? I mean, because if that's his game, then they just need to try to work him in to make him a better person, give him better opportunities.
Unfortunately, that is not what Cleveland. With Minnesota, what they was doing, Kevin Love was in the post. Kevin Love was posting up and maybe shooting jumpers every now and then, a couple of threes every now and then, but he lived in the post. That's why he was getting all those rebounds when he was in Minnesota, because he was a double-double machine, like you said. When they got to Cleveland, they took him out. You know what it is? They're trying to make, and I don't know who it is, but they're trying to make Kevin Love into the Chris Bosh version of what Chris Bosh was in Miami. And to be honest, that's not Kevin. His strength was to be in the post. To be honest, Tristan Thompson, where Tristan Thompson is right now, that's where Kevin Love should be. But they got Kevin Love like out in the three-point line or outside shooting jumpers, and that's not his game. That never has been his game. So
Tristan don't have that fluid. All Tristan can do is play down in the post. Does he even have any? Does he have a 10-foot jumper or a 15-foot J that he can hit consistently?
Not as consistent as what Kevin Love would do.
So maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe I need to pay a little bit more attention to Cleveland games, but
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's. I mean, basically, when they brought Kevin Love in, they didn't know what they. I mean, pretty much, what they when they brought Kevin Love in, he was supposed to do what Tristan Thompson is doing now
Hmm.
with the jumper. That's pretty much what Kevin. That's what they wanted Kevin Love to do. But with Tristan Thompson now filling that slot, they really don't have no offense for Kevin Love, and this what makes it worse because with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving doing what they do, it's like that's all that really matters. It's not like I'm going to get Kevin Love down in the post and feed him the ball to see what he does. It's not even. It's to me. It seems like they're not even considering that option. And so when they're not considering that option, you leave Kevin Love out there just basically doing what just waiting for an open chance to get a shot, shoot a jumper. When LeBron or Kyrie drives, they kick it out to whoever's open on the wing and just shoot a jumper. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, and then when you get to the defensive side of the ball, he's basically a defensive liability. I mean, for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, you saw what Draymond Green was doing to him. He was doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. It was sad.
Yeah, it was. It was very sad. And that's the difference because Kevin Love knows he's not supposed. He needs to stay in the paint. That's where he made his home. That's where he was at in Minnesota. Where he should use. That's where he should stay. But like I said, with Tristan Thompson playing the way that he's been playing, it kind of pushes Kevin Love out into the backcourt area. And when you have him playing like small forward, like Draymond Green, who can shoot, or make plays or create plays, it's a bad matchup for Kevin Love. So it was a bad matchup all around. But it's just that everybody was blaming like Kevin Love and his defense, and it's warranted because he can be a defensive liability. But it's just not that. I mean, that's just part of the problem. Like, It's just the coach needs to change up the offensive ways to make it offense. To give out the strengths of other players. And when you have someone that of a Kevin Love caliber that's basically just chilling, waiting for the ball to come to him, that doesn't work in his favor. And then there's teams, there's people talking about him being possibly traded, and like you said, Adrian, with Timothy Mozgov, he just fell out of the rotation once Tristan Thompson took over. And it's funny because the Cleveland Cavaliers did everything they could possibly do to bring in people that could help them, but they're not utilizing them. I mean, like Mo Williams. Mo Williams was averaging at least 15 points a game in Charlotte. He comes to Cleveland thinking that he's going to be like the primary backup to Kyrie Irving, and he's at the back, at the end of the bench. Like it's amazing that they're not utilizing the people that is there.
Well, is it possible that it has something to do with the coach?
Oh, it starts definitely with the coach. Because I don't know who's coaching the team. Some people are saying, it's Black, but he doesn't know what he's doing. And some people are saying that, it's LeBron James, like he was in the last game before this one, waving off the subs and, checking himself out. I mean, at least in Miami, Eric Spoelstra, coached. And he was able to get a lineup and get people around him with,
Well, that's because he had Pat Riley behind him.
Yep.
Thank you. I was about to say that he had Pat Riley behind him. And now you basically go to Cleveland, Dan Gilbert basically is giving them, running the land. I mean, they had Black before they got LeBron James on board, but he wasn't going to make the switch then, but I can definitely see possibly after this season, depending on how it goes down, that Black's going to be going. I think that Kevin Love is probably – well, I don't know if they're going to trade him because they just signed him to that contract, so you got to find somebody willing with the cap space to take him. I'm not sure they're going to find anybody to do it right now, but there's going to be some.
There are rumors out there already.
We'll see.
There's rumors out there already. there's teams like Boston who would love to take him, and they can offer Cleveland pretty much everything under the sun and still come out on top. Boston would love him. Like they could easily offer them a gluten of power forwards and centers, like like David Lee would be a perfect ideal fit for them, and another center, and plenty of draft picks for Kevin Love. They'll do that in a heartbeat. I mean, there was also talk about him possibly going to the Wizards, and that again, that was just NBA talk, radio talk. But there's like they will offer Gortat and I forgot either Gortat or Nene, one of the two, and another person for Kevin Love. So
that's
there's definitely rumors out there.
That's just a ridiculous trade.
Yeah. Like I said, there's rumors out there, but there would be. But I mean, at least there's so many teams that would definitely make an offer at Kevin Love if he was available. But I don't know if Cleveland would put him out there on the trading block, but they would take him in a heartbeat. Somebody would take Kevin Love in a heartbeat. Yeah, because they know that he's undervalued there.
He need to go back to L.A.
Oh, they were saying that too.
To where? Oh, the Lakers.
Yeah. He'd be a nice centerpiece to go with that young core. But then again, who do they have? They got that kid from Kentucky.
DeAngelo Russell?
No, the big.
Julius Randle.
Oh, Julius Randle.
Right. Okay. Has he been doing anything this season? Because I knew he was hurt his rookie year.
Nah, but there was offers about Kevin Love. They included Julius Randle into the mix too. For him to go to Cleveland. So
I don't think Cleveland needs more. Do they really? If they traded Love, do they need more big help? I mean,
if they keep Moscow, they won't need it. To be honest, they need wings. They need defensive-minded wings, small shooting guards and small forwards. Because other than LeBron, of course. To be honest, J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith is J.R. Smith. Iman Shumpert is Iman Shumpert. Like, they need some help with the wings. To be honest, that's pretty much all they need to help boost them up. Because without those, and people have been complaining about Smith being a defensive liability, but he'll give you at least 12 points per game. Some nights he could be hot, some nights he could be cold. But then Iman Shumpert will come in with the defense, and they want somebody that's a two-way player that can provide both offense and defense. Oh. So, but Cleveland has, to be honest, Cleveland has a long way to go before they even get to that point, because they really need to work on their chemistry. That's basically where they need. That's pretty much their issue right now. Or whether it's David Blott taking it over, or if LeBron is running it. Number one, he shouldn't be, but if so, it needs to come together. And if it don't come together for them, I would not be surprised if they don't even make it past the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, you got a lot of teams over there. You got at least 4 teams that can give them a run for their money over there.
By far, about 4 teams.
I think that game is going to be the game that opens some eyes within the organization, the team, and I believe it could possibly make them better. And I'm not, I just truly believe that it's a different quality of all-stars being put on this squad versus the Heat when they came together, because Bosh, Wade, and LeBron actually liked each other, wanted to play with each other. Cleveland had an all-star already on the squad with Kyrie. It was Kyrie's team. Then LeBron came back on, and it took that title of Kyrie's team away and put it back to LeBron's team. Then I'm thinking, Love just witnessed what the heck this happened down in Miami. Is like, well, if they need a big that can sit there and shoot threes and blah, 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 I could be that person. And that's how that big three was formed. It was never one of those scenarios that they came together at a think tank and said, you know what, we're going to do this, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is the way we're going to go about it. So they are already at a disadvantage in that aspect when you think about the big three from Miami, how they planned it, how they worked it out, what they already envisioned. Plus, LeBron is 3 or 4 years older, so he's not the same LeBron. But Kyrie can't play at a high level in a long period of time because he's forever getting hurt. And Love can't play like the Love he was in Minnesota because he hasn't been afforded that luxury to play that style of ball. Now, if in the event something should happen where LeBron were to go down and Kyrie were hurt, I guarantee you see the Love of old, and that team could possibly, I'm not saying it can make it out of the Eastern Conference Finals, but they have enough talent where they could still win enough games to make the playoffs if LeBron and Kyrie were to be able to come back in enough period of time, come playoff time, hypothetically speaking, of course. So I think that's just it. I think, though they've talked, I don't think they got that same camaraderie or that same type of bond. And I think it's hard because LeBron wants to do it not so much for himself, but I think he wants to do it for the city of Cleveland, and he's bypassing or he's not addressing, in my opinion, the things that are necessary to address to make the team stronger, especially if the onus of Cleveland being his team in his city, in his state of Ohio, then, something needs to be done in that aspect. It's not going to be handed to them. They got lucky last year. They got real lucky. Despite all the injuries, they got lucky to get to where they got to go. Now they're finding that they have a relatively healthy squad, and they're still experiencing the same issues that they thought they would have bypassed from last season, this season. And that's why they're probably having so much internal strife.
Yeah, but you can always say that even in Miami, it didn't look good the first year they was out, but after the second year, it was looking a lot better than it is right now for Cleveland.
Exactly. And I think that's probably the mindset they went into. They're like, okay, well, you saw how it happened in Miami. We got this far. Now we should be able to take it up a notch the second season. But again, it's 3 different superstars on 3 different teams, where one group had a hedge plan 2 or 3 years prior to the free agency happening, whereas he had a superstar came on board, and just another superstar came in, and boom, now we have this. Is this a totally different dynamic? And I think they just haven't worked out or attempted to work out the dynamic that's Kyrie, Love, and LeBron.
And here's the thing, though, and this is the issue that Cleveland is going to, or any other team that plays an ISO ball is going to have. They're going to have an issue where so many people are going to want the ball, and they're going to want to do something with the ball. And I hate to bring this up, but this is the difference between the Eastern Conference. Well, it's the difference between Cleveland and the difference between San Antonio and Golden State. Even with San Antonio, they brought in LaMarcus Aldridge and David West. And LaMarcus was a person that had the ball all the time. But when he came to San Antonio, it's not that serious for him now to give up the ball. It's a team concept game. And he picked that up right away. That's why he didn't go any other place. He knew if he'd have went to Phoenix, he probably could have been getting the same amount of touches as he did in Portland. But it wasn't about that. It was about a team concept which drew him, and the championships, of course, and the pedigree, that drew him to San Antonio. Now, if if you have like those three people, like if Cleveland, if LeBron and Kyrie say, all right, you know what? I don't need to be shooting the ball all the time. This is a team game. Let's get the other people involved. Let's just stop with the ISO and let's just start making the extra pass and commit to that. If they was more committed to giving the extra pass and playing team basketball more, that would bring out better chemistry with them, where to a point where it would probably be better for them down in the long haul in the playoffs time. And I think that's what really is what matters most. The regular season is the regular season, but I thought they was going to make an impact statement last night, and they really didn't do anything. And like this, Kyrie and LeBron said it handily last night. They got their you-know-what's kicked last night, and rightfully so, because nobody didn't play with no energy. So, like you said, hopefully down the road they can get it together. But as of right now, as it stands, as currently as the team stands right now, I just don't see them. I see them in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't see them making it in unless they get this turned around. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if a team like Toronto or Chicago beat them in a 7-game series, and it would not shock me at all.
I can definitely see that, and I mean the one thing, just to harken back a little bit, what you was talking about with LaMarcus Aldridge going to San Antonio. I mean, it's the organization from the ownership to your coach that stresses, team basketball. Dan Gilbert, who knows with him? David Blatt, a good guy, but I don't think he's that strong figure like he had when he was in Miami with, with Riley and Spoelstra to be like, yo, look, you're not the coach. This is how we're going to run this ball. We know what you can do, but we're going to have to play within a team concept. And right now, it doesn't look like a team concept at all over there in Cleveland. It just looks like LeBron and then everybody else is kind of trying to find in their groove what he does. No, it has to flow a different way.
I agree, but that's something they're going to have to work out and figure out for themselves.
And who's out there that has the pedigree or even the talent level to even do something like that? Because if you get rid of David Blatt, who you bringing in?
I guess it would be LeBron being the coach.
Yeah,
we see how well it's working out right now, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. If LeBron was ever the coach, they wouldn't make it past the second round of the playoffs. That's just my opinion.
Nope, but I guess right now, since they got their butts whipped, I guess Curry can talk all the crap he wants to Cleveland for the next time they meet. He has earned the right after that game to say whatever he wants to the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James, in my opinion.
Yeah, the whole team at this point could say whatever they want. To be honest, the whole team could say whatever they want now because they're the reigning NBA champions. So they could talk the talk, and I cannot argue with them. No one else no one else should be saying anything. Not Cleveland, not the Clippers, not San Antonio. Even though San Antonio is playing well, but they haven't won the championship last year. Right now, the Warriors can say that. They could talk all the talk that they can at this point.
They talk the talk and they back it up.
Exactly. I mean, well, that's all I have in regards to the Cleveland and Golden State. We could talk more about the NBA as the season progresses, see how everything goes going forward. But I know the time is pretty much up. I'd like to thank Adrian Catwell and Earl Ross for stopping by and giving their insight about what's going on in the world of sports. So, Ace, I'll start with you. Tell them where they can reach you at.
You can find me on that thing called Twitter. Adrian Cat 1963 is Adrian, Adrian Cat CAT 1963 on Twitter.
All right, and Earl, where can they find you at?
I'm on Twitter at JERoss, the number 7. Same handle on the gram and out there on Facebook as well.
All right, and of course you can find me on Twitter and Instagram as well at I am Al Qualls. You can also find me on Facebook as well at Al Qualls, of course. Also, don't forget you can subscribe to YouTube. We're on YouTube now also, so you can subscribe there. We're also on Apple iTunes as well on the podcast system. So do me a favor and subscribe to that as well. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to listen to us as we talk sports on a regular basis. But for now, this is Guys Talking Sports, and we'll catch y'all next week, same time, same channel. And until then, we love sports. Hope you do too. Later.